And welcome in, everybody, to the MHRT Podcast. I'm your host, Mundungus Creevy, alongside my co-host, the 6'10", Mr. Boggins, and a really tan Glenn. I'm just kidding. That's Isaiah. He's jumping in for the day. We are a fan-led, Broncos-based podcast, filling you in on all things NFL news. But more importantly, Broncos news. We go live every Thursday at 7654. You know where to put them. On YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Now, we are still on a quest for 1,000. Now, if you have ever wondered how to support a growing channel, the absolute best ways to do that is to subscribe, hit the thumbs up, comment, and share. The more interaction we get on the pods, the more eyes they get in front of. And if that wasn't enough incentive, Glenn Hauser said that once we hit that 1,000 subs, he will do the next podcast wearing the Barrel Man barrel. And that is it. Just the barrel. Butt naked everywhere else. So make sure and the non-tan version of Glenn, not this one. So make sure you slap that thumbs up button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share so that you can know when we go live, anytime we post amazing content on our pages, and so that other Broncos fans out there in Broncos country can know that we are here. Now, waiting in the wings, we have another very special guest. You know him as JR Drafts on Twitter. He is the sports writer for Mile High Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, Joey Richards.
Woo! Yeah,
Joey. Round of applause.
Welcome, Joey. What's going on, brother? Welcome.
Don't laugh at my dad joke.
I appreciate you guys having me on. Looking forward to it.
It's going to be fun. We always have fun when we have guests on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So let's kick it off the way we kind of did last week. We'll just kind of throw some questions at you, see where you kind of stand, and then we'll hit you with the big daddies.
Cool. I'm ready.
The big daddies. Confirm name.
Questions. Right. The big ones. And I meant that in a very clean version of everything. Yeah. So I think the first question that I asked last week, and it's going to be the same thing that I ask you. We've got Drew Lock, we've got Teddy Bridgewater. We've got what they did in OTAs and what they did in mini camps. How much does that factor into the ultimate decision on who is the starting quarterback of the Denver Broncos?
You know, I really don't think much at this point. You need to see these guys with pads on, and at this point, I think quarterbacks are trying things out. They got to see what works, what doesn't. They're both adjusting, both trying to figure things out. I think training camp, when we get into training camp, that's when we actually start evaluating these guys. My opinion.
Hey, a question for you, Joey. Aside from the rumor talks about possibly trading for Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback, what other headline do you feel is kind of being overblown in Broncos country that you heard and you think it's completely absurd?
Whew. There's a lot of those, I feel.
Fair enough.
It's hard to pick. Man, the biggest one, I would probably go with I think you guys nailed it earlier. Just this OTA battle. The quarterback thing is obviously going to be the biggest talking point for everybody. It's what gets the most clicks. It's what everyone wants to talk about, and it's the most important thing. The team goes as far as the quarterback goes, right?
Yeah.
So, but evaluating it, like all of this matters right now, is when we don't even get to see them. Like we don't even have eyes on them. Like we have no idea how it's actually going. We're all going off of hearsay. I think it's all getting overblown. Like Locke will throw an interception, everyone goes nuts. Teddy interception, everybody goes nuts. We have no idea how that even happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Although, do you think that when everything's being put under a microscope right now, it being a QB competition and the coaches are keeping, a figurative clipboard of every little thing that they do to kind of compile a list of pros and cons of things that potentially could be, that interview, right? They're interviewing for that QB1 spot, and of those interceptions, I mean, it's not like they look good on a resume when you're continually, watching them in camp. And I'm not saying that it's going to, what's happening now is going to be the end all be all. Like it's definitely going to come down to training camp and probably even into second preseason game, and knowing Vic Fangio, he won't make a call until 3.5 minutes before start of the first regular season game. But I would argue I think it has a little bit of effect of like the compiling of different factors into what eventually will be the QB1.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's no way about it. An interception is a negative thing. It's like people are trying to twist it if you're on one side into a positive.
Yeah.
Weird thing. But it's just people acting like they saw it for themselves and acting like they know what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Overblowing it.
Absolutely.
My question to you is, excuse me, one thing I saw emerging on Twitter was a definite, especially with the quarterback competition, people were referring to, okay, was Drew Lock playing against the ones, against the twos? Was he playing with the twos against the ones, and vice versa? My question to you is, being under the microscope, who do you think critiques more, or who's more into the minute details, the coaches or the fans? Who's looking at every little detail? Or basically what I'm saying is, are some things fans are looking at, maybe not necessarily taking into effect as what the coaches are looking at? Or are the coaches more particular than the fans are? So who's more critical of the quarterbacks, the fans or the coaches?
I think it depends, because this Drew Lock versus Teddy Bridgewater thing has become so cultural with the fans that obviously there's people looking for negatives on both sides of these. So they're all like put on a microscope completely. If you don't like Drew Lock, everything he does is going to be super negative. If you don't like Bridgewater, everything he's going to do is super negative. Whereas the coaches have more of an unbiased view, I think. I think they just want to win football games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
agree with that statement.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think that if you look at it from an outside perspective instead of like orange and blue colored glasses, what you're seeing is, okay, this is what they did in OTAs and minicamp. Now let's see when they come back in training camp, are they still doing that, or are they fixing it? If they're fixing it, cool, no problem. Have at it. But if it's still the same problems that they're having in OTAs and minicamp and the problems they had last year, that's when you have an issue.
Yeah. I think what we're seeing a lot on social media is people liking it's just what social media is. People like to argue with each other and like to be right. And so you see a lot of, people that are hoping for Drew Lock, and then people that don't like Drew Lock, and them trying to use specific events to push their own linear narrative that, Drew Lock sucks, or Drew Lock's the future, or Teddy Bridgewater's awesome. Or like every little interception, which I don't think is the case, but I think it also does eventually add up in each depending on the situation. But I do have a question for you, Joe. How much do you think this whole report that there are certain that Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater are both holding their own QB camps, and specific wide receivers are splitting off and going to each, apparently like Noah Fant is going to Drew Lock's, and Jerry Jeudy is going to Teddy Bridgewater's? Do you think this is a very interesting situation that's starting to unravel?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, there's nothing about it. You're picking between which one you want to do.
Yeah.
Is this a real thing?
Yeah.
I was just about to ask the same question. Is that factual?
Seriously?
Yeah. I read that article about an hour or so ago.
That's not healthy.
And then I also read an article that said that, I don't mean to interrupt you guys, but just quickly, I also read an article that says that Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock are also planning on meeting together in Florida and, working together, throwing the ball or doing, working together as quarterbacks. So there's also that,
What I will say is this. I don't think that's healthy.
Yeah.
I don't think that's. I understand the quarterbacks they're also fighting for a job. I understand it as well, but the fact that it's literally a divide. And when you said they're holding their different camps, I knew Noah Fant was going to go to Drew Lock. I knew Jerry Jeudy was going to go to Teddy Bridgewater. That's not healthy, because at some point in time you could say you don't hear the chatter, you can say you don't hear the noise, but when two different quarterbacks in a quarterback competition are holding camps, and Jerry Jeudy or Noah Fant decide they're choosing. It's like a divorce. The kids are choosing who they want to go with. I don't think that's healthy. I understand why they're doing it. And also, just to, throw some gasoline on the fire, Adonis. That's Teddy Bridgewater's territory. Florida's that's Teddy Bridgewater all day. So Drew Lock's going down to Teddy Bridgewater. Does that mean Teddy Bridgewater's the alpha?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's throw this hypothetical out there. So let's say that it gets to like close to the end of training camp. Both quarterbacks are pretty even. Noah Fant goes to the coaches and plugs for Locke. Jerry Jeudy goes to the coaches and plugs for Bridgewater. Which one has the stronger saying into that?
Noah Fant.
Which one do you think the coaches listen to more?
Noah Fant.
Yeah, Fant. But I think if they're even at the end of camp, you're going to go with Locke because he has a higher upside, and you want to see what you have there. Like you don't really even question it. I mean, you know what you have in Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, he's going to be like he's a cheaper Alex Smith essentially. Like he's not going to he's going to play it safe. He's going to drive the ship, so to speak. I mean, he's just going to let it run essentially. I mean, you have the roster to do that, but I think with Drew Lock being younger, his contract coming up within the next year and a half. I mean, let's be honest, you probably want to sign him at the end of the year if he's playing well enough. So I think that Drew would be the one you would have to push forward to at least try, and then hope you don't have to fall back to Bridgewater. But that would be my guess.
Yeah, totally. You're going to go with the guy that you think can be a franchise quarterback, even if it's the smallest of opportunity. But like we know what Teddy Bridgewater is, there's still a little bit of a question with Drew Lock. So if it's close, it's going to go to Drew Lock. Yeah,
I mean, one thing that fans have to realize, and it's something that I myself have to realize because I am a Drew Lock supporter, is that if it does come down to the coaching after the preseason, they decide to give the keys over to Teddy Bridgewater, that, it's not the end of the world. And it doesn't mean that Teddy Bridgewater is 100% better than Drew Lock at that moment, because you guys have to remember that when the Panthers acquired Bridgewater, they were expecting to get the Bridgewater that they saw when he was in New Orleans playing, for an injured Drew Brees and playing behind Drew Brees. That's why they paid him a whole crap load of money. And that didn't pan out. And then they went and got Sam Darnold, and then Teddy Bridgewater got shipped out to Denver. So I'm not saying Bridgewater is washed up or anything. I'm just saying that if he does get the keys to drive this team, then, we just have to be supportive and behind him, just like we would if Drew Lock got the keys to the team and say, hey, let's see what you can do.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second. Joe, I'm going to ask you a question. So based on you, I mean, you're the writer. So based on the descriptions we've gotten from the receivers on how these quarterbacks throw, from your perspective, which would you rather have? Based on their throwing, how they throw, floater versus a bullet.
So I think for the Broncos receivers, and I actually wrote about this recently, I think the majority of the Broncos receivers, they play better in the Teddy Bridgewater skill set. I think a guy like Jerry Jeudy, a guy like KJ Hamler, I think a guy like Cortland Sutton succeeds with any quarterback. If he comes back fully healthy, he's just a phenomenal player. He'll succeed with anybody. A guy like Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler, they need an on-time and accurate ball. Not everybody is Calvin Johnson or Julio Jones and go up and snatch a ball 5 feet over their head, right? They need a ball here, right in their chest, to where then they can catch it in stride, make things happen after the catch, and all of this type of stuff. So I think a quarterback like Teddy Bridgewater unlocks more of KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy's skill set. Okay,
let me push forward. I'm sorry, guys. Let me push forward for the next question now that you said that. Who do you lean toward? If you're the offensive coordinator, you're Vic Fangio, Teddy Bridgewater unlocks Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler. Now, Noah Fant went to Drew Lock's camp. Now, we know Tim Patrick played better with Drew Lock. Cortland Sutton went to this Pro Bowl toward the end of the season when Drew Lock was playing. So do you play more toward your outside guys and your tight end? Do you lean toward Drew Lock for the outside guys and the tight end? Or do you lean toward Teddy Bridgewater with the inside guys with Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler? Who do you favor more if you're the coach?
I think they would prefer, if it ends up being like a close quarterback competition, I think that's how we're kind of contextualizing this. But if it ends up being a close one, like I said earlier, I think you have to go Drew Lock. He's a younger player. He has the more upside. He has the chance, even a little bit of a chance of becoming a franchise quarterback. That's what you have to go with, because the team will go as far as your quarterback goes. It's almost like you're star player in basketball, right? You're not getting the chip without your star player.
Mm-hmm.
So
completely agree.
Let's dig into some. See who's here. Johnny Baki, the second best beard in MHRT.
I just want to say I'm cooler than Johnny Baki. I'm cooler than Johnny Baki for the record.
It was random, but all right.
You're not gonna want to. You're not gonna
Those
want
are
to take
fighting
that poll.
words. Those are fighting.
I did like how right before we came on, the Don stood up and Isaiah goes, "Holy crap, he is 6'10".
Nobody ever believes it. Nobody ever believes it.
We were lying the entire time. EJ, what's up, Johnny?
Story of my life.
EJ in the house.
EJ.
Gary Neighbors, go Broncos, number 1, lock number 1.
The Nabes, Gary Nabes.
John L. Buckley, that's a new one for me.
Yeah, that's a new one. Broncos.
Welcome, John. Welcome, John.
Dave Glassman, let's effing go. Yeah.
Dave, I saw your comment. Dave, I'm in the house tonight. Welcome, Dave. Glad to see you again, brother.
Mile High 6, I guess we'll call him second favorite Canadian because I don't know if we can put him over Rich yet. Maybe? I don't know. They're tied.
A boot.
Tied at number 1. At number 1. Landon, hello.
Hey, Landon.
What else we got here? Mile High Prophet. Good evening, Broncos country. Stephen Baumgarten. I haven't seen him in a while.
What's up, Steve?
It's a great wallpaper.
Where is?
Yeah, that is a good wallpaper. I like that.
Yeah.
You think Julak should wear a visor this year?
Everyone should wear a visor at all times.
No, I don't want it to be another excuse from the fans.
Everyone should Guy Fieri.
I was thinking the same thing.
Let's see. EJ, which QB is more likely to throw for 4,000 passing yards this year with the least amount of turnovers, Locke or Teddy?
You know what? Let me just quickly say, I've been watching videos of both Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock just from last season alone, and their play styles, when they threw interceptions, it almost looks like they were trying to do the exact same thing, which was forcing a play, trying to force the ball into coverage or into an area that did not need to, for the ball to be going at all.
You were watching Teddy?
Well, it was like a video of like all the interceptions from everybody, and believe it or not, Teddy and Drew Lock were like second in most quarterbacks shown. So while that's not a very interesting statistic, I know it did open my eyes in terms of what we have in terms of if Drew Lock's performance from that season doesn't improve, and if Teddy Bridgewater is not able to accustom and change himself into the Pat Shurmur offense that he was used to running when they were in Minnesota.
I'd actually say probably the unpopular opinion, which I see Teddy Bridgewater just based on Shurmur's style of offense and the amount of yak you'd be able to get from these boys. Yards after catch with a Jerry Jeudy or a KJ Hamler, on a slant, a screen or whatnot. Like Teddy doesn't have to do that much to get it to these. Like we have really good weapons, and all he has to do is get it to them, and they're gone. I mean, you saw what Jerry Jeudy did against the Chargers against the Raiders late in the year, right? I mean, a slant and you're gone. People were asking if Teddy Bridgewater could hit what Drew Lock did against the Panthers. A 9 route, especially when KJ get off a little bump coverage, just whoop, and he's gone. I mean, you just toss it and he's gone. I think Teddy easily could hit. I think a lot of quarterbacks could hit 4,000 with this offense potentially.
No,
I disagree. I'm gonna have to go ahead, Joey.
Oh no, you go ahead. Got it.
I'm gonna say I disagree. The reason being, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater the entire time he's been in the NFL has ever thrown over 4,000 yards, has he?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
And I don't. So because he's never. I mean, then again, Drew Lock hasn't either. But what I will say is, I don't remember Broncos country going nuts crazy over Teddy Bridgewater or at any point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of a sudden now everybody's crazy over Teddy Bridgewater. Now the interceptions. So when it comes to the yards, Drew Lock. Now interceptions, that's where we're at. That's where Broncos country is split in half. If you say tick for tat, who can throw for more yards in the season? Drew Lock. Who can throw less interceptions? 75% of Broncos country is going to say Teddy Bridgewater. That's an unfortunate position to be in. but because I've never seen Teddy Bridgewater go for over 4,000 yards, I'd have to say Drew Lock on the yards, but Teddy Bridgewater on the interceptions. Like Broncos country, I'm split in between.
He almost did it twice. So 2015 when he got hurt, he was almost at 4,000, and then but he missed what 6 games? 4? No, like 4.
Was it for back injury?
No, for his leg when his knee got shattered.
His knee.
Well, he said he's 100%.
He would have had 4,000 there.
Well,
and last year he threw for over 3,700.
And you have to think about the rosters also. Like the receiver core right now is nothing compared to like he's had before.
And
like
Carolina.
Carolina was decent. Carolina had Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, and DJ Moore, which is solid, but they don't have the tight, like we have tight end weapons. We have great receiving backs. Like Mike Davis was okay, but he didn't have McCaffrey the whole time he was there. The Saints had Michael Thomas, and then it kind of just fell. They might have had Emmanuel Sanders at the time, but Emmanuel Sanders is still older. They didn't have a receiving tight end anywhere close to what we have. So, I mean, I say our weapons are a lot stronger than anything he's ever had before.
Joey, let me ask you a question. I don't want to be biased, so I'm going to pose it both ways.
You are.
Between Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, who would you take in that Chargers game where we won 31-30? And to not be biased, playing against the Chiefs in the next season. So last season Chargers game, who would you take to come back and do that game-winning drive? And who would you take against the Chiefs next year? Who do you think you can have the most success with?
I think the most success the Broncos are going to have is the quarterback that can get the ball to the receivers most consistently, which I think is Teddy Bridgewater. I think that the turnovers, I mean, they were pretty even last year, but you have to account for Teddy Bridgewater's injury the same way that we have to account for Drew Lock being in a new offense and all of this type of stuff. Teddy Bridgewater didn't look half bad up until this knee injury. He really didn't. If you go back and look at the film, the majority of his turnovers came after that, and he's even came out and said, hey, I probably should have shut my season down because of this. So I'm taking Teddy Bridgewater in both just because I want the Broncos receivers. If I'm picking between these two quarterbacks who I'm not in love with either way, I want the one that's going to give my receivers the most opportunity.
Okay. I think the coaches are thinking the same way. Someone in the comments, I read this. They said a Teddy Bridgewater offense would be boring as hell. I was
looking at this, and I'm going to kind of push back on that because while Teddy's not going to bomb it down the field like Drew Lock will, like watching the short yardage throws with what happens after that could be exciting. So I think that a Drew Lock offense would be more nerve-wracking.
I would say anxious
because it's like he throws that ball in the air, you're like, holy crap. But like with Teddy, like it's going to be a shorter throw.
Yeah.
But then with the receivers we have, with what they could do after the catch, that's where it gets exciting. So Teddy might be boring, but after that could be pretty exciting.
Yeah, you also have to remember that an offense that stalls creates a defense that tires. So that's how a lot of teams after the last few years, that's how they've been able to beat a Broncos defense is because the offense is just stalling, whether they're running the ball or doing checkdowns. You tire out Von Miller. You got to get a
tattoo of that somewhere.
But that sounds like, going off what he's saying. Somewhere. That sounds like in my opinion, that's Teddy Bridgewater off.
I was saying that's like
a short throw, a check down, an offense that stalls. Not saying he can't move the ball down the field or he cannot get the offense going. In some situations, when the quarterback warms up and the receivers are warmed up, and they're getting short passes, quick slants, quick outs, quick screens just to get them going, it can boost the offense and open the plays downfield. But what you're saying sounds like a Teddy Bridgewater offense to me, an offense that stalls. Tires out of defense faster. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys let me know if I'm wrong. Last year we had a glimpse of it. So who do you think will stall the offense more?
That was kind of last year though, wasn't it? Like with Locke throwing up those balls.
That's what I'm saying. We saw Drew. Then again, I will say our defense was already tired from injuries. And our offense was somewhat demoralized from from interior offensive line to Cortland Sutton being gone and Jerry Jeudy having to step outside of his role to outside the numbers receiver instead of the slot. Yes, it can go both ways. Yes, last year we did stall at a lot of moments. But then at the same time, there were extenuating circumstances.
Right. I wanted to kind of touch on the deep ball thing as well. Teddy doesn't have the velocity on the ball like Locke does. He doesn't. But arm strength only gets you so far. You have to be accurate down the field with the ball. What good does it do you if you're throwing the ball 30 yards down the field, 40 yards down the field, but it's 10 yards over the receiver's head, right? Yeah. So part of this is, hey, we can make a short play into a big play. We can make a quick play into a big game. Like, it has the same effect.
Mm-hmm. You know who I blame for this? Patrick Mahomes. I
want to put an asterisk on all of this. We are not choosing a quarterback. We are not picking sides. We're just looking at it from what we're seeing. Okay,
and it seems like Teddy Bridgewater's winning every question. But this isn't a basketball podcast.
I think it's just because there's more to look at with Teddy.
Please don't say LeBron.
Yes, I agree.
As opposed to
three of the last goats in the NFL the last decade. You look at Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning. All we talk about with them is how big their arms were, right? So it's obviously insanely important to have a big arm to win a Super Bowl. So it's not like timing is important or anything. Like, you could throw the ball a little earlier because you know what's going to happen.
Well, and that's why we were saying, like, if Locke can take the touch and the timing that Bridgewater has, done. That's what Locke is missing. Like, instead of relying on how fast and how hard you can throw that ball, if you know that you can have timing and touch, problem solved.
That's why the description Drew Lock gets a lot of times is raw, because he has the bullet pass, he has a deep ball throw. That's raw, but the touch and the timing is the honing of your craft. That's where the NFL quarterback coaches and the personal trainers come in. So Locke came in with deep ball and strength. That's raw. You're born with that. But can we take that and hone that in to near perfection? And the reason why I said it's not a basketball podcast, but Patrick Mahomes reminds me of Steph Curry. Steph Curry came in the league and changed the way basketball teams play defense and when he shoots the threes and where he shoots it from. Damian Lillard started doing it. And now when you watch a basketball game, when they're down, instead of playing the game, they try and go for the three. And Patrick Mahomes has done that. When Joey said that Don said when they were doing he was watching the highlights and they both were doing the same thing. They're trying to force those throws. Because Patrick Mahomes came in and started doing that. He'd throw across his body, he'd throw no-look passes, or he'd scramble out of the pocket until he just throws it and someone is open. So now other quarterbacks are starting to do that. And I think that's what Drew Lock was trying to do. Hey, the Chiefs are in my division. This is what made Patrick Mahomes successful. Let me try to do the same thing. And other quarterbacks across the league started doing the same thing. Started throwing outrageous throws, scrambling out of the pocket. And some have had success, some have not. And that's where Drew Lock has to step back, and Teddy Bridgewater as well, and say, hey, I don't need to be like Patrick Mahomes. I need to be the best at what my talents can give.
Yeah.
That's my comparison.
It's completely changed the way a lot of people evaluate the quarterback position too. Like, I think sometimes we need to take a step back and just say, hey, if he can throw across his body and make all these tight window throws across his body, that's extra, that's cool, but it's not vital to playing the quarterback position.
Right.
You still need basics. You still need all of that stuff that we see from the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Brady's, all of that. And if he can do this extra stuff, that's awesome. But it's not vital to the position.
One of the most underrated things, I think it's become more prevalent as time has gone on. Drew Brees just retired, Peyton Manning's retired, Tom Brady, nobody knows. But it's become more of a thing where reading the defense, and I think it was I can't remember who posted on Twitter, but it was just a montage, a compilation of Peyton Manning before he hikes the ball. I can't remember who posted it, but it was like a 10-minute video of Peyton Manning with the Colts and with the Broncos, and before the play starts, he'll say something. I know offensive line, the receivers will know pre-snap. They'll automatically know we're not moving. And then he'll run up, he'll point this, point out, and you hear the commentators impress it. Like, there he goes. He's seeing the defense. He'll say it again. He'll motion somebody else. There he goes. He's reading defense, and then he'll do that. And a lot of people in Broncos country said the same thing. I want to see more of that from Drew. Now, we're not expecting him to be the sheriff's level, but hey, motion the guy over. Okay, he's running with him. He's in man. He's staying where he is. He's backing up. He's in zone where he knows, okay, I see this defensive coverage. I'm changing the play. And that's where that, that quote unquote leadership that they're asking for from Drew, that Teddy Bridgewater does bring to the table. And that's where Drew, if he doesn't start, can sit back and watch. Okay, oh, that's what he's doing. And that's where, the training with Peyton went. What are you supposed to do in this? What would you do in this? If they're doing this coverage, what do you change to? And so that's pretty good.
Joey, I want to get your idea or your opinion on what you think about the Broncos selecting Patrick Surtain to join the secondary. How do you feel that reinforces us on defense?
I think it's awesome. A lot of people didn't like the pick because I always said that if you just told me the players the Broncos drafted, especially our first 2 picks, without telling me how they got the players, who they passed up on, I would have said, hey, we killed that. Because I really do love Patrick Surtain. Patrick Surtain, he's a pro. It's pro. I mean, he's as solid as it comes out of the draft. He's pro ready. He's awesome. Yeah. And when you start looking at the future, I mean, hey, we have 2 starting cornerbacks on their final year of their deal. Being in a situation next offseason where we're looking for 2 guys at a premium position, that's tough. So I love the Patrick Surtain pick. It's really good.
I think Broncos country has come to love it more and more. I mean, when it first happened, everybody was upset, Justin Fields. But the more the Broncos talk about him and each player talks about him, I think that, I've seen 1 or 2 here and there, but that Justin Fields talk has started to come down more and more. But the PS2 talk has been more and more. Even PFF came out with a poll, and I believe it was it Kyle Fuller and Patrick Surtain that were like number 2 and number 3 on the best cornerback duos in the NFL,
which is weird.
And he's a rookie. He hasn't played a game yet, and they're already considering him as being one of the best duos. So that talk has come down, and we're starting to see, okay, maybe George Payton doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Okay, maybe Patrick is legit.
I don't think there wasn't a lot of people in Broncos country that were mad about the player himself. Like, there's a lot of people that mocked Patrick Surtain. And I mean, there was so many conversations about scheme fit. And then you heard Vic Fangio talk about like not drafting for scheme fit because they can learn and you just go for like the pure talent, in which, I mean, shoot, Patrick Surtain was the cleanest cornerback in that whole entire draft. J.C. Horn was a reach, I mean, not like a crazy reach, but like he was the safest pick, as they said, but like for a good reason. And I think that a lot of people were just bummed that we weren't going to get, or excited that we didn't get a quarterback for that pick. Didn't pick I was one of them. I mean, I really I've wanted Justin Fields since Elite 11, but it was rough. But I got it. Like, after a sec of cooling down, like, I love the pick. I love the insane depth we have at secondary now. Like, that's fantastic, and we're set. And like Joey was saying, like, with the 2 contracts coming up, you don't know what's going to happen with Bryce. You don't know what's going to happen with Kyle. So, but I and especially with Michael Ojemudia maybe moving to like nickel and dime, so you don't really know what you have as far as like boundary corners anymore after the season. So it's I'm excited now, but at the time it was weird.
Yeah, like I was saying, I think a lot of Broncos, like you said, that was the perfect terminology. Cool down. I think a lot of Broncos, because I mean, we can't forget before our pick there was huge Aaron Rodgers talk all over Broncos Twitter. Then Justin Fields was still on the board, Mac Jones was still on the board. Not that we were going to get him. Like you said, we cooled down. And I think out of the two out of 3 corners that are on Bryce Callahan, Ronald Darby, and Kyle Fuller, I think Kyle Fuller and Bryce Callahan. Is Ronald Darby on a 1-year contract?
2 guaranteed at least. Yeah.
Okay, I think both of them come back.
But I think
Kyle Fuller.
Right now, I think Ronald Darby is going to be like one of the highest paid rotational players on the Broncos. So
Darby's guaranteed for 2. He's not going anywhere till after next season. So
do you think Michael Oj will get some playing time this year?
Well,
in like nickel and dime packages, probably more than.
You don't think he's going to be a boundary corner anymore?
Maybe.
Well, that's what I was going to kick out to Joey. Was like, do you think are they going to try to play the same as they did last year? They're going to do more nickel dime.
They're going to have to play more nickel and dime this year. I mean, nickel is basically base defense for most teams. You run nickel, you run base. So you're going to see a lot of three corners on the field, and I would not be shocked to see a lot of four corners on the field. I mean, you have all these extremely talented guys. And also, I mean, if I told you what are the odds that we see Ronald Darby, who just had his first healthy season last year, and Bryce Callahan, who has never had a healthy season, won't stay healthy through the entire NFL season. Yeah. The odds are extremely low. So having this depth in place with Michael Ojemudia and Patrick Surtain and all these guys is going to be really nice. I mean, we were down to street free agents last year. You really can't have enough corners.
So if
we're invincible with Mark Wahlberg, but they're just like pulling people.
You in the stands, come down here at halftime.
Are they going to have Darby behind Callahan and rotate, or who's going to be behind Callahan and rotate with Callahan? Because I'm assuming we're not wanting to play them 100% of the snaps. Right. We're going to want to have more like a 60-40, 50-50 split to try to keep them healthy through the year.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Surtain may fill that spot a little bit. They ran this. He ran a position at Alabama his freshman year, and they call it the star position, which is kind of like a hybrid corner deal where he plays inside like a nickel. So he has a little bit of experience there. But as you go farther down the depth chart, all of these guys are boundary guys. So that last corner that makes the depth chart, it's going to be a nickel. So it's going to be between Kerry Vincent, who the Broncos drafted, and Isang Bassi, who just had that injury last year, and he's going to have to recover.
I'm going to have to slightly disagree with you.
Is Bassi going to be back before the season starts?
I think so.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
Let me check. I slightly disagree with you, Joey, on I think but now that you guys said, I think Michael Ojemudia is going to fill that spot with Bryce Callahan. I think he knows Vic Fangio's defense. Now tackling was definitely an issue with him, but he also had 4 forced fumbles as a rookie. Now 80% of those times he was trailing in coverage. He came from behind, stuck his arm in there, and that was him coming from the boundary. But I think it'd be mostly between Michael Ojemudia. I think they want to see him play inside because I know we drafted a couple safeties, but there's been some talk around Broncos country about him replacing Kareem Jackson. Now that may be a no for now because he has tackling issues, but I can see Michael OJ and Isang Bassi definitely giving Bryce Callahan some rest. Patrick Surtain is a rookie. He should be able to play the full game, but if he doesn't, Michael Ojemudia can also play that. Kyle Fuller, he knows Vic Fangio's defense, and Ronald Darby's looking to make a name for himself and tired of getting beat deep. So I'd have to say Michael Ojemudia will rotate more with Bryce Callahan than anybody else, in my opinion.
I'll stop you on that Kareem Jackson thing. My boy Jamar Johnson is coming for that spot, and I'll tell you.
You think so?
Now. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, you would think that OJ playing on the outside last year, he would be the one that would rotate with Darby to try to keep Darby healthy, and then you'd have Surtain rotating with.
You think so? But he's been in Fangio's doghouse the whole season.
I could see him running more like a Duke Dawson role, like a overhang or something like that, more often than like in dime and stuff. Then strictly outside. I see him being very versatile, and that's Fangio demands versatility in his cornerback, so I see him moving all over the place.
There is promise in Ojemudia. Like Isaiah mentioned, he does have the 4 forced fumbles to his record. On the other hand, he does have, then again, it was his rookie season, and he got burned by Julio Jones against Atlanta, and then against Chase Claypool against Pittsburgh. Yeah. Those were 2 really, really rough.
The Claypool one was pretty. That was pretty close PI though.
That could have been called, but still, he
Julio
landed
Jones
in Vic Fangio's
on that post
anyway.
corner.
Right. So
would you trust?
What was that? Hold on, what Joey was saying, wasn't it?
Oh, I was just about to say he was a 3rd-round pick coming out of rookie and he looked like a 3rd-round.
And 4 forced fumbles his rookie season. for a third round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Do you trust
better than an average third rounder would play starting at cornerback? His rookie year, where that's a position that usually takes time to develop.
I'm not dogging him for the record. I'm just saying that his ceiling to learn, he still has more to learn. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Putting him up against Julio Jones was not fair, first of all. So
we had nobody else.
There was a lot of people on Broncos that got on his case about that, and I was like, dude.
I just imagine like Michael Ojemudia looking over at Vic Fangio when Vic's calling like press man against Julio, like single high, and Vic's just like,
yeah.
You got it, bud.
Yeah.
All right, so Johnny about 10 minutes ago put a comment in here. Joey, who do you think will make the biggest splash as a rookie this season?
The biggest splash. I think it's going to be biggest splash. That's an interesting question. I think that it will be Javonte Williams, the running back. That's my pick. I wasn't in love with the pick at the beginning because I am a firm believer that you do not take running backs early in the draft. But he has all the talent in the world. If you're going to take a guy that early, I would hope that it's someone like Javonte Williams, who's just a monster. He's really good. He's amazing. And as the season goes along, I mean, Melvin Gordon's on his last year of his deal, so I think that the Broncos, as we get more into the season, he's going to get more and more carries, and we're going to roll that into the season after, where he's just the feature back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like the last, I would say like week, I've been on like a track and field binge because like the Olympics are coming up, and I ran across the video back in the 80s. They had this competition called the fastest man in the NFL,
and Javonte Williams was in it.
No, like Darryl Green won it like 4 times. I'm moving with Darryl Green. So what I've been wondering is like, we know that as far as speed goes in the AFC West, you've got Tyreek Hill on the team. So if it was the AFC West teams picking the fastest guy on their team to run against Tyreek Hill, who's going into the race against Tyreek Hill for the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Chargers?
Well, according to the Broncos, it's Von Miller because apparently he's been dusting everybody on the sprints. But
I'm thinking like KJ Hamler.
Mm-hmm.
Jinx.
I'm thinking KJ Hamler.
For the Raiders,
so
it'll probably be Henry Ruggs.
Jinx again. Yeah.
If it's running straight, then yeah, KJ Hamler. But if they have to do cuts, Jerry Jeudy.
So then who do you got on the Chargers?
Probably Guyton.
Austin Eckler?
Probably Guyton. Guyton was Herbert's like big target receiver.
Yeah, Justin Herbert, is he running?
So who wins between the 4 of them?
Tyreek.
Is there anybody in the NFL that can outrun Tyreek Hill?
A couple people in the NFL have run 4.2s. Apparently, RG3 just ran a 4.32.
Maybe John Ross. Yeah, no way. Yeah, no, there's no way he actually ran a 4.3. He looked like he was jogging.
Yeah.
You see that?
It did. I was like, he didn't run no 4.32.
You mean 5.3?
Yeah.
5.3.
Maybe DK Metcalf if he spends a week with you.
No.
Oh, this one. Here we go. This one's just for Isaiah.
I knew you were going to put that up there. I was going to tell you not to do that.
But seriously, back to that Javonte Williams. I mean, you guys know how big I was on Javonte Williams the whole time, but I didn't.
You hated him.
I didn't think. Huh? Yeah.
You hated him. It was.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I didn't think the Broncos would go that high to pick a running back though. I thought they were gonna get like a Stevenson or something in the later like 4th or 5th or something, like because they knew that Melvin Gordon wasn't gonna last long there. But to grab Javonte Williams in the side. He was my RB1 in that whole entire draft class. I just love everything about him. He reminds me a lot of like Frank Gore. His balance is insane, his contact balance, and he's just like, he does everything you want. Like he didn't run a ton of like pass catching play, like a couple screens, a couple just like check downs that ended up going for touchdowns because he was just like, there's no one in the middle of the field. He shook JOK out of his shoes a couple times. Like he does everything you want, and I'm really excited to see what he does. I do think Melvin Gordon will start with first reps, even though it's going to be run by committee essentially. So
Apparently, Javonte Williams has great hands. But I like to. I can't remember. I'm having a brain fart. When we drafted Javonte Williams, was that before or after we got rid of Philip Lindsay?
After.
Okay. So we needed that running back position. I like the idea of lightning and thunder. I'm from Los Angeles, so USC back in the day with Reggie Bush and Lindell White called him lightning and thunder. I like that dynamic duo. You punch it, you hit him with the speed. I know Javonte Williams can run, but is he that lightning speed? I mean, has the NFL running back dynamic changed where we don't need that?
I think Broncos country got very overhyped
Spoiled
with the whole Philip Lindsay thing. Philip Lindsay couldn't pass block. He had catching issues, and when he was on the field, you knew what was going to happen. You were going to zone run. He's not going out for a pass very often. He's not going to blow up a linebacker blitzing. He had flashes, absolutely, and he looked great when he did them, and he was very, very quick and twitchy. It was great, but I'm not going to even close to compare him to Javonte Williams, because Javonte Williams could be like a bell cow back, where Philip Lindsay is in a Texans team currently making $2 million with a stuffed backfield of whatever.
Oh yeah, that's the best players they have are the running backs. The Texans suck. I don't disagree with you. Javonte Williams, they did say in preseason, the training camp, they said he picks up the block very well, and that's I think something that Joy, you tell me what you think, that they don't talk about that much when it comes to running backs, to say their vision, their speed, and their pass catching ability more now. But I think picking up pass rushes, picking up blocks is important, and I think Javonte Williams has stepped up in that aspect.
Oh, for sure. Being like we were talking about, I mean, it's so important to have a featured back now. It's massive. You need a guy that can do a little of everything. You can't just have a one-trick guy. You just can't do it. You need a guy that's going to pick up that block or not get your quarterback sacked. You also, as well as run the football. Running the football is one component of being a running back. There's a lot more to it.
Absolutely. And when he's on a rookie contract, it's even better.
Yeah.
So what role do you think, or how big of a role do you think Boone is going to have this year with the running backs?
I think he's going to have a special teams role primarily, which is important. They signed him for a reason. They need that special teams. The Broncos special teams has been bad. And then that's also what gets me excited about the Broncos going into the draft and getting so many defensive backs. All these guys are going to be utilized on special teams, and I doubt we have those same issues because of it.
Yeah, let's keep in mind, guys, and we talked about this on Tuesday on Broncos Talk, that Terrell Davis started out on special teams, and that's how he got discovered. So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Mike Boone could be following in those exact same footsteps in terms of not being discovered, but just being really effective on special teams.
I'd watch more for Kerry Vincent on special teams. That boy flies. Watch him burn down that field.
Well, I was going to say, Joey, what do you think about DeMornay Pearsonell, the new wide receiver they signed? As DeMornay Pearsonell, as far as the kick returner, punt returner. Because that's what he did at Nebraska.
Yeah, I don't know much about the player, if I'm being honest, but I will tell you, I thought it was interesting that they were signing a kick returner or a punt returner, just out of the fact that they have Deontay Spencer. I thought that his job was already on the line because of the amount of receivers we have. We just have so many receivers on this roster. And I thought it would be a good way to get KJ Hamler the ball more. That's what I wanted the punt returner and kick returner to do, because we have three receivers, Patrick, Sutton, Judy, and then we have Hamler. And you need to be able to use his explosiveness in other areas if he's not going to get on the field every time when you go three wide receiver sets. So I thought it was interesting. I doubt he makes a roster just because of KJ Hamler and Deontay Spencer, but
and Tyree Cleveland too.
Yeah, Tyree Cleveland.
I'm scared to put KJ Hamler back there on punt return with his injuries, hamstring, and being able to cut and move fast. If he's an asset to our offense, I would hate to put him out there on punt return because of his speed and risk him getting injured and losing that other weapon. I mean, that means Tyree Cleveland would step up. But I'd hate to use that fast, alleged 4.2 40 speed on offense to jeopardize it for special teams when we have Tyree Cleveland, Deontay Spencer, and then the gentleman you're speaking about. Me personally, I would not put KJ Hamler on special teams. That's just me.
Yeah. Right. And I totally understand that too. I totally get that perspective. I'm just thinking of different ways I would get KJ Hamler with the ball. And it's with not a lot of opportunity. He's going to be the fourth receiver on the depth chart, most likely. I doubt he takes Tim Patrick's spot, who's just coming off the best year of his career. I bet you Tim Patrick gets a lion's share of those snaps. So it'll be interesting how they do that.
And I'm not a big fan of like babying a player because of a injury, like a consistent injury. Also, like if he can't, he's got to make his worth somewhere, and he can't just keep getting injured. And if we're just gonna like oh, we gotta wait, we gotta see how he feels today. We'll see how he feels today. Like if he has an injury concern consistently, then he has injury concerns consistently, and you got to think about down the road if you even want him on the team, because like that hamstring has been an issue and continues to linger on him, and I'm not going to use that as an excuse not to put him in special teams. Like I'm not a big fan of dedicated kick returners and punt returners. Like unless you have Devin Hester back there, like I don't want it. I would rather you use a roster spot for more of a valuable position.
Who was that?
I agree. Now maybe I'm the only one here.
Who was that?
But I think this is Deontay Spencer's breakout season.
Who was the what with the Chiefs?
Who was that kick returner with the Chiefs?
Dante Hall. Don't talk about it.
Hall.
Don't talk about it.
Oh,
Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
Or Josh Gordon.
Can we get a returner like that, please?
No, oh my God. We have one.
I think this is Deontay Spencer's breakout season.
Yeah.
I think his punt return touchdown last year was that against the Panthers?
Panthers. Yeah, we had everything against the Panthers. That was great.
Yeah, we did. We had a great season against the Panthers.
Okay, so let's table this conversation and spin into the main point of the podcast, which I know DNVR just did an episode on it, but they did a whole thing about the rumors about Hard Knocks. Do you think that there's any chance that Denver is going to be on Hard Knocks?
No, but I want it.
I think there was like 4 or 5 teams that were listed, and Denver was like 3rd or 4th. But do you think there's any shot?
I don't.
Hashtag amazeballs.
If HBO finds out about Aaron Rodgers before we find out about, or anybody else finds out about, like if Aaron Rodgers goes to HBO and says, or like the Green Bay Packers go to HBO and are like, hey, we're going to be trading Aaron Rodgers to the Denver Broncos, then we'll get Hard Knocks.
But that's what I'm saying. Yes. So you don't think that HBO would be like, all right, we're going to go with Denver because there's a chance that they might get Aaron Rodgers?
No. Now we have no other.
Currently.
Dang it.
We have no other we have no big names until we potentially get Aaron Rodgers.
Like everybody's got the Cowboys listed as the favorite. I don't want to watch another Cowboys one. I don't think it's that interesting.
I have a question. Do the Cowboys pay like SportsCenter and ESPN to talk about them more?
The Fox market is huge. And
because it's I was watching SportsCenter and NFL. It's really irritating. I'm like, why is it that every single year they dedicate like 2 weeks out of the whole summer just strictly talking about, will the Cowboys be the NFC East champions? Are the Cowboys legit? Predict the Cowboys season this year? And they really went through whole betting odds and percentages today on each game the Cowboys play this season. I'm like, does Jerry Jones and the Cowboys pay these people like, hey, we'll give you $15 million if you dedicate segments to us?
Probably.
How does that work?
That's probably how
it's really irritating.
Too. Robert Kraft is like, hey, give me some airtime. I'll send you over to this massage parlor. But
I don't think. I think with the QB competition, I think cameras in Drew Lock's face, well, specifically Drew Lock, and I don't think the Broncos want to give away who's getting the edge on the QB competition, how Von Miller's looking on his return, how Courtland Sutton's looking on their return. I don't think they want to give that any airtime.
Because I think
if we had Aaron Rodgers, 100%, I agree. We would be if there was a blockbuster trade, the Denver Broncos would be on Hard Knocks.
So it's what, 5 eligible teams right now, right? They got the Panthers. No, thank you. I don't want to watch Sam Darnold. Denver. They got Arizona. They got the Giants, and they got the Cowboys. Giants and
it'll be Arizona.
No. Well, that's just it. Like the other teams that I would even want to watch aren't even eligible. They'd have to volunteer. Like I would not mind watching the Jags, just because Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow, Trevor Lawrence, like that. I mean, that would at least be interesting.
Who did Arizona draft?
The Cardinals. Well, the Cardinals I'd want to watch because they got J.J. Watt.
Yeah, they just picked up J.J. Watt. They got Chandler Jones, DeAndre Hopkins.
Chandler
Murray
Jones is still holding out, isn't he?
Cliff Kingsbury would be awesome.
What was that? Joey?
Chandler Jones is still holding out.
Not you, Don. Joey, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, probably Cardinals. Zayvon Collins.
Yeah.
I can see that. Absolutely.
Well, the other one I was saying was
Cleveland.
the Bucks. The Bucks. I wouldn't mind having one on the Bucks. I mean, this is potentially Brady's last year, and as much as I don't like Tom Brady, it would be kind of fun to watch the Bucks.
I guarantee you though. But I guarantee you though, Tom Brady has that much pull though. If he wanted it, he would hit up HBO and say, "Come over here."
Like, hey, come over here.
Yeah. No, he would get
I don't
over here tomorrow.
Because I don't see Brady playing past 45. I don't. And so he's turning 44 this year.
Bucks aren't interesting to me. I think people want to see
You're not interesting to them.
Cleveland for OBJ's comeback. They just signed Jadeveon Clowney. So apparently Cleveland has one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Jadeveon Clowney is overrated. I don't care.
He really is. He had that one good hit at South Carolina. Actually, you know what team I'd want to watch?
A little more than that, but yeah.
You know what team I would want to watch in Hard Knocks?
Buffalo Bills.
That's new to me. The Tennessee Titans.
Nah, the Titans are boring.
I want to see Julio Jones.
Bills, that would be good.
I would say the Bills because I think the Bills are.
Yeah.
They're.
You don't want to see Julio Jones with Derrick Henry and
the other one. The other one I wanted to watch was the
not without Arthur
Texans.
Smith.
I would love to watch the Houston Texans and see that dumpster fire happen. I would love to see that dumpster fire.
That would be worse than the season 8 of Game of Thrones. That's what that would be. That would be terrible.
Or see Green Bay's Hard Knocks.
Because you could just sit there and be like, "Holy crap! What is wrong with that franchise?"
So there's really no legit teams that we really would want to see on Hard Knocks.
Denver. But that's
Denver doesn't count. That you have a biased opinion.
So I'm allowed to have one.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say that. But other than Denver, I'd love to see Denver Hard Knocks so we get to watch more Broncos.
Well, and this is one point that DNVR made was if you did have the Cowboys on Hard Knocks, they are a team that is going to show you everything, not just the good, like the Raiders because they suck. And they're like, "Oh, let's only show the good stuff." They didn't even focus on the AB controversy. That was the whole point.
Yeah.
And they just glossed right over it. With Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, you're at least going to get the good and the bad. Like you might get something there.
Or the 2000 Ravens. That was my favorite. That's my favorite one so far.
Yeah.
Joey, who you got?
If I could pick one for who would it be this year, I would pick. I like the Houston idea. People don't know the people they're starting. It would be fun to watch.
Dude, there's nothing more fun to watch than a dumpster fire.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
It's unraveling. Just like you want to see pure depression.
Yeah.
You're gonna see like the coach. You're gonna see
that's when you tune in.
Yeah. I even forgot the new head coach's name. What like Sirianni is? Oh no, that's Eagles.
It would be worse than Sour Patch Kids cereal.
It's the guy that got promoted from Baltimore, who was their wide receivers coach.
I forget his name. Not Greg. Oh gosh, I don't remember.
Who?
But anyways, it would just be like pure sadness. All you'd look at, you just see their faces all the time and just know that Deshaun Watson isn't coming back, and that
so 2023 apparently.
No, like their starting quarterback is going to be
quarterback.
Yeah,
Tyrod Taylor.
No, he's in. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, probably.
Oh my God, Houston's just since they signed Brock Osweiler, they just haven't.
Jacksonville, Dallas, Denver. If I had to pick odds on the top three, but see, Jacksonville's not even required to.
Yeah,
I think they would have to volunteer.
I think we know. We're pretty confirmed. It's Cardinals. Like I
hope so.
I'm like 95% sure now. That has
the problem is Kyler Murray is really boring.
What?
Very.
Yeah. Kyler Murray is like really boring.
Oh, as a person.
Yeah, as a person.
Oh, okay.
Like his personality on camera is really boring.
That's fine. You have DeAndre Hopkins, you have JJ Watt.
Cliff Kingsbury would have to carry that.
Yeah. You'll be fine.
Cliff
Kingsbury.
Dumpster fire. Dumpster fire. That's if it's not Denver, dumpster fire. That's where I want to go. The Houston dumpster fire. That's where we're going.
Something I like or tragedy.
Yeah, like interesting or super depressing. That's where we want to go. I
Lindsay again.
I don't know. Yeah, there you go. I don't know. Like, and it's probably more interesting to us being Denver fans, but I just don't see why you wouldn't want to go to Denver. Like, there's more storylines there than really anywhere else.
Is there?
Yeah, I mean, because now that I think about it, I'd say the Broncos wouldn't want to because of the QB competition, but for ratings and for the NFL,
but that's a storyline.
Yeah, QB competition is a huge deal.
Plus, like, when was the last time they had a Hard Knocks team that made the playoffs?
If you listen to anything national media barely knows we exist. They don't even acknowledge our roster. They don't. All they know is that we had a bad defense last year. They don't mention injuries. They just know we have a bad defense last year, and that we haven't proven anything. And we have no excitement.
Where did the crack wagon come from? What is that?
I don't know. And we're the only team with one primetime game, so that's the only thing the media remembers.
It angers me how much. Finally, someone said, "Hey, the undercover team you need to watch out for is the Broncos." Finally, somebody said it, and it blew up Broncos Twitter. It was everywhere. Everybody in Broncos country loved it, but it angers me how much they just I think PFF came out with like the top 5 defense or the top 5 pass rushers. I don't think even the Broncos were on there.
Yeah,
but all of a sudden, Justin Simmons is unanimously the best free safety in the league. But you can't mention. I think maybe because Von Miller was injured.
Teddy's pretty boring too.
Teddy is definitely boring. But
I think there's sarcasm there.
Drew Lock potentially is. Yeah, Drew Lock potentially isn't. But the competition in and of itself,
they don't care.
I agree with Landon. I do not want to see Jerry World. We share.
No, I don't either. Dumpster fire. Dumpster fire. That's the new hashtag. Hashtag dumpster fire.
And I'm sorry, Jerry Jones is a terrible actor as well. I saw him on The League the other day. Jesus Christ.
Well, I think Cowboys. I think people want to see Dak Prescott's comeback.
Yeah, Dave, you really got to fill me in on this crack wagon thing because I love it. That is hilarious. I want to know what the crack wagon is.
I hope it's not what I think it is.
Hold on, it's Lawrence and Tebow, which is Jacksonville.
It's what a Kraken calls his sports wagon, the crack wagon.
I was thinking more like a wagon, like a cracked wheel or a base or something.
No, I think he's talking about a certain team because there's Lawrence and Tebow, which is in Jacksonville. There's Denver. These are the crack wagon. So what was the other teams? It was Arizona Cardinals. Anybody in the Cardinals ever done?
I think you're digging way too far into this crack wagon thing.
But keep in mind, Tebow is not a solid member of the team yet. He still has to earn a spot, so he could be cut before the start of the season.
What
if they cut him? Is because of the
he's like the number 1 and number 2 selling jersey in the NFL.
I know.
If they cut him, it's purely because of the controversy. It's purely because of that. If Tebow doesn't start and they throw him on the field like Rudy in one game, the crowd's gonna go nuts.
Rudy.
I also bet you that
Tebow. They're gonna be chanting his name.
Why is no one talking about
every game of the season
for Hard Knocks? Like that could be a push. If anybody has proven how much they want to be in the media, it's the Jaguars. Yeah, like absolutely. With them being on wrestling, I don't know what the organization is.
AEW.
AEW,
yeah. And then also with the whole Tebow thing for publicity. Like if anybody wants to be on TV,
on Urban Meyer,
I think if the Jaguars are on Hard Knocks, they have. Could you imagine Hard Knocks where Tebow's called and like bring your playbook?
Mm-hmm.
On national TV, they tell Tim Tebow to bring his playbook.
Mm-hmm. That'd be great.
Nassib is the number 1 jersey. I know it was like there was like 2 or 3 weeks straight where it was like Tebow had the number 1, number 2, number 4, number 5 selling jersey.
Yeah, the second Tim he went to go try out. Jags booster sales went out the window. Season tickets flew off. The people bought season tickets. And
that's why I'm saying that there's no way they're going to cut Tebow if he's pulling in that amount of money. No way.
They'll refund their tickets.
Season ticket holders see him on the field either.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I still see him as more of a who's the quarterback over with the Saints?
Winston?
No, the other one.
No.
Taysom Hill. Like the Taysom Hill type.
Taysom Hill is what Tim Tebow should have been.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Taysom Hill, but I'd rather watch Tim Tebow over Taysom Hill.
Yeah, I'm
Swiss
saying
knife
I
quarterback.
see Tebow playing more of that style than full-time tight end.
Yeah.
I agree. Oh yeah,
I
like
would
that a
rather
lot,
see
actually.
Taysom Hill throw a ball.
Wow,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not saying a lot.
If they
maybe
use
you can
if
punch
they use Tim Tebow, could you imagine the NFL if they use Tim Tebow like Taysom Hill, and it's a pass, and Tim Tebow throws a passing touchdown after like 10 years?
Imagine if they kept Tim Tebow on the Broncos with Peyton Manning. Like, it would be like almost a better Saints, Drew Brees and Taysom Hill. Like when Drew Brees is tired, put Taysom Hill in to run up the gut. Act like he's going to throw it.
Do we play Jacksonville this year?
Yeah, third game.
Yeah. Johnny's going to get in trouble.
In Jacksonville or in Denver?
Johnny says Houston should rename their stadium Massage Envy Stadium. You're going to get it. Oh boy!
Ay, Dios mío.
All right, so that's like an hour and 8 minutes. So we're going to need to get going.
All right.
So go ahead and finish up whatever thought you got, and then we'll go. I mean, we'll talk about the Power Rangers, Harry Potter stuff after we get off.
The
We'll
Wiggles.
continue that conversation.
I will say this: I hope Jacksonville plays us in Denver, so Tim Tebow gets a standing ovation in Denver.
He's not going to get that.
And I'm leaving it at that.
People stay in their seats.
Yeah.
I predict a big year for Von Miller. I think he's going to bounce back. You can see the fire, the intensity in him. Hopefully, he doesn't do anything where he overexerts himself and he ends up on the injury list.
I refuse to say anything
again.
about Von Miller. I refuse to say anything because last year we blew him up and he got injured. So I'm just not going to take the chance.
And I think that him being a father is going to be even more motivation for him to excel with the team.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Bring the family into it. All right.
All right.
Go for it.
You want me to go for it? You got something to say?
Yes.
Okay. So that's going to about do it. We definitely want to thank Joey so much for joining us on tonight's podcast. It was very fun.
Joey, you're the man.
Yeah.
Let him talk.
So we got you at JR Drafts, right? Anywhere else that you want people to go, any place you want them to contact you, what do you want to plug? Plug it up.
Hey, just you guys can find my articles, what I write at Mile High Sports. I just started maybe like 5 or 6 months ago, and I love it. I think I'm writing pretty good stuff. So if you guys want to check me out there, that's how you can find it.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Thanks for coming on, bud.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joey.
Guys, it was a lot of fun.
Good.
This one was a little weird. But they kind of all are depending on the week.
Yeah.
And again, we want to thank everybody else for joining us in the chat. It was fun. Great getting your questions in there. And remember, we're still on that quest for 1,000. So make sure that you are subscribing. You're slapping that thumbs up button, turning on notifications and sharing so that you know when we go live, anytime we post anything, and so that other Broncos fans in Broncos country know that we're here. Now make sure that you are tuning in 6543. You know where to put them. On Sundays for the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast with Johnny and Isaiah. And at 7654 on Tuesdays to Broncos Talk with 6'10" Rich and Johnny. Now with that, we're going to head out. We love everybody. Have a great weekend. And we have to end it with a mile high five. Joey, do you know what a mile high five is?
I don't.
Okay, so all you got to do is you hold your hands out to your side. We mile high five, and then we clap above our heads. So it's mile high five clap, okay?
Yeah,
all right, here we go. Bargains, you have to participate, or you're fired.
I dedicate this to you, Johnny.
Okay, everybody ready? Mile high five!
Woo!
Joey, no idea if that was on time.
Synchronized like a crazy man.
Yeah, we did it. Did we do it?
I have no idea.
Get more followers because of it?
Maybe. We'll see.
I think Johnny's going to trademark it so we can't use it anymore.
All right. With that, we are out. See you, everybody.
My salute. Good night, guys.